Hey guys, it's Cameron. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing with you my online learning tips for back to school this year. I'm also going to share with you some of my favorite online resources to use for school. So with that being said, let's get right on to the video. Okay, so my first tip is going to be to keep a schedule. Do a schedule whatever works best for you. So if it's getting up in the morning and getting dressed and getting some breakfast, or if it's doing your hair and makeup and going for a run, something like that, make sure you just have a schedule. Or if it's just getting out of bed and changing your clothes and sitting down in front of your computer, just doing something that makes you ready for school. And having a schedule just makes it easier, whether you're doing Zoom classes or if you're doing your work by yourself on your computer. I noticed that having a schedule really works well for me, and I think it would work well for a lot of you too. My next tip is to keep open communication with your teachers. Even though you're not seeing your teachers every day and you might not even see them at all throughout the whole entire semester, make sure you let them know who you are and what your goals are for the year. Just make sure that they know that you're not just a face in their classroom. Make sure they know your name, make sure they know your goals and what you want to accomplish in the class for the year. Just make sure that you keep an open communication with them and that you can email them questions and make sure they know like you are a person who is going to give it your all. You not seeing them in person is really hard, but making sure that they know that you're there I think really works, and I'm definitely going to make sure that I do that this year. My third tip is to get out of the house and go to different places where you wouldn't go normally to study. In my state right now, you can't do any like thing indoors, so you probably won't be able to go to like, or for me, I can't go to like a Barnes and Noble, but I'm going to try to get out to some parks. Hopefully there's not a lot of people there. I'm going to try to get out to like a park or maybe the library. I know some libraries are open social distancing around here, so maybe you could do that. Just get out of your normal everyday setting. And another add-on to that is to have different places to study. So for example, in my room I have my desk, and then I have a beanbag chair that I can go to. I also have my downstairs kitchen table that no one's normally at, or like I have a bar in my kitchen. So there's a lot of different spaces where I can see different things. Normally I'll probably be sitting at my desk most of the time, but there's definitely different spots in my house that I have set up that I can go to change my scenery. The last tip goes along with this tip, but it's to have a set space to do your work. Have everything set up before your class so you know that you are ready for the class. You have all your supplies set out in one designated spot, and like keep that like in mind before. So if you want to move from your desk to your dining room table, make sure you have things at each spot so you're prepared. Next, I would say, even if you're doing online classes this year, prepare for school like you would any other year. Get everything set up, get school supplies early, get your books, make sure you give yourself some self-care, and make sure like when I go back to school, I normally like to be like, okay, summer's over. I change some of my decor in my room from my summer decor. I want like it to be like summer is over. Even though I'm doing online school, I want it to be like I know that summer's over. I am ready for the year kind of thing, because you're not going into a different setting. You're not going to school. It's still going to feel kind of like summer, and you really want to make sure you differentiate you want to get ready for school, if that makes sense. Make sure your family knows what time your Zoom classes are and what time you're going to be doing anything live, so they know what time to be quiet around the house, what time to not bother you or knock on your door. Make sure they just know when you are busy so they don't bother you. If you have Zoom classes or optional Zoom classes, make sure you attend the classes. Attending your classes are super important. I know my Zoom classes are attendance, so your teachers are taking attendance. So just make sure that you show up to your Zoom classes. Even if they're optional, I think they're very important, and they really give you the sense of a school environment. Next is to form study groups and keep in touch with your friends. I think it's super important. My class, I my college is a little bit different than normal college, but I have a actual specific class at my college, and we all have a group chat. We are keeping in touch, and it's really great to keep in touch with your friends in school, especially because they can help you out, ask some questions, form study groups if you have friends that you don't mind going to hang out with in your classes. Do that and really just help each other out. I think that's one of my favorite things about my class is it's super easy to get in touch with my friends and talk to them, and I think it's super important to have that sense of normalcy in an online course. One of my big things for doing online last year was it was really hard for me to look at a screen all day, even with my blue light or my glasses on. It was really hard to look at a screen like all the time. So what I really like to do is I like to print out certain things so I could see it, and I could go back to it, especially if I was taking a test that you could cheat on. Not really cheat, but you know what I mean. Like if you could look back at your notes, I really like to have written out notes and written out like handouts instead of them on my computer. I really like to see that better on my, like, printed out. I like to have things printed out. So I really recommend looking at things in books or notebooks more than just looking at the screen all day. My last tips are for Zoom. So if you don't have Zoom, these probably won't be helpful to you. But for Zoom, some of my best tips are to make sure you're on time for class. Be prepared for the class. Don't be moving stuff around all the time or moving your computer and walking out. Try to be like prepared. Have everything set out when you get on to your class. Make sure you mute yourself if you think there are going to be noises around you so you're not distracting. Try not to be distracting. Try to keep your camera on. It just keeps you accountable, and the teacher knows you're engaged if your camera's on, unless your teacher doesn't want your camera on or your teacher wants your microphone on. Obviously that depends on the teacher, but I think muting yourself and keeping the camera on is one of like the best tips if your teacher doesn't have any guidelines. And also make sure, just like be prepared, don't be distracting. I think those are like the biggest things, is to not be distracting to your other classmates when you're on Zoom. Okay, and next I want to tell you some of my favorite online resources for school. One of my favorite is PhotoMath. I'm taking my first math class this semester, so it's super important for math. So you can actually, with this app, you just take a picture of the math problem, and it doesn't just give you the answer, but it shows you how to do it. YouTube is also another great resource for math problems. You can look up how to do the specific math problem, and you can like watch a YouTube video. I think that's super helpful, especially for math, because you kind of need to get the idea of how the problem works rather than just getting an answer. So I think PhotoMath and YouTube are great for math problems. Next is using Quizlet. I absolutely love using Quizlet to do like index cards. I love looking at other people's index cards because it saves you from having to make your own. Sometimes you need to make your own because it just works better for you, but I love using Quizlet to use other people's because it just takes a little bit less time to study, and you can even make your own and share them with other people or your classmates. Next, I really like using Chegg and Amazon for renting books. I think those are super great websites, especially if you don't want to rent through Barnes & Noble because it's so expensive. I really recommend using both of those sites. Some of my favorite websites for English classes are SparkNotes and Easybib. For SparkNotes, you can get summaries and different things about works of literature. I absolutely love that. Not to read the book, but I like it to get more of the book. Like I like to use that alongside with the reading. And then I also like Easybib, which that is a great app to get bibliographies. Bibliographies are kind of hard sometimes, and I think you need to have the understanding of how to do a bibliography, and you should learn that in college, or if you learned it in high school. But your teachers will be super understanding if you use Easybib. At least all my English professors were pretty understanding. So you just use use that, oh, my dog is growling, I'm really sorry. You just use that for getting bibliographies, and sometimes you just have to check them, but I think it's a super good app if you know how to do bibliographies and you just need certain ones done differently, if that makes sense. And lastly, if you guys could do any apps, I think Google is the best. I love all the Google apps. Docs, Slides, Gmail, I think all the Google apps are amazing, and it's free. You just need a Google account, and I literally use Google for all of my presentations. I hate Word. I think it's the worst. So I totally recommend using all the Google apps. Okay guys, that was my video for today. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, make sure you give it a big thumbs up. Also comment below if I forgot any apps or tips that you guys have for me. I would love to hear about them. And if you're new to my channel, don't forget to subscribe. We love having new friends here on my channel. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I love you to the moon and back, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye guys.